Zeds just don't want to work like how we had to back in the day, where we could buy houses for cashews and nuts. One income could sustain an entire family, and me wife did everything around the house, so all I had to do was focus on just working. Gen Z are a bunch of wusspusses. I'm 87 and still working. Definitely not a system failure or anything that people can't retire these days. It has come to my attention that generations previous to us Gen Zs are telling tittle-tattles about how we don't want to work. We're lazy and we feel offended if we can't secure a job. Yes, Richard, I'm so offended that I can't feed myself this week. I'm so excited to be going homeless and not being able to pay for my rent because I couldn't secure a job. I think that a large portion of people who shit on Gen Z for having this sort of collective doomer mindset about the future ahead of us should really get off their righteous high horse and just take a look for a second at the future that we are inheriting from them. Cost of living is out of control. A large percentage of Gen Z has little chance of buying a home like previous generations did successfully. Food is the most expensive that it has ever been. We are constantly seeing on our social media timelines children starving to death under rubble due to a genocide that we have no fucking control over, which inevitably brings people down if you have any sort of empathy, even a heart. And every single day, these are the things that are depleting Gen Z, because it seems that no matter how loud we scream, no matter how much we talk about these issues, nothing ever gets done about it because we're pussies and we're woke and we're all this, that, and the third. You raised us, mind you. And to top it all off, jobs are harder these days to secure because they want more from you, but they refuse to pay you that margin that you need to be able to live comfortably well within your means. So I'm sorry that Gen Z aren't that chipper about going to work just to have nothing to show for it once we turn 50 because all the wealth is already hoarded, you know, or all the work that we have done to build other people up. Meanwhile, they're just kicking us down. I mean, we have had to witness our loved ones work themselves, kill themselves at work, and still, it's an issue because Gen Z is loud about it. Gen Z openly complains about these issues. Like, dude, the system isn't just failing Gen Z, it's failing you too. And it wants you to believe that somehow Gen Z is the enemy when we're quite literally your kids, are we not?
Most of us, it is a fact of everyday life, but to some Gen Zers, it's an offensive slur.
Saying Z instead of Z should be considered a fucking offensive slur. And maybe I am pausing a little bit too soon. But if this is referring to tweets you see with the O in job being censored, it is quite literally a joke. Like, maybe it's about damn time y'all hire a Gen Z anchor to explain all of this to you. Oh, but no, that's right. That's not the problem here. It's not the fact that you guys have no clue what's going on. You're a lot smarter than that. It doesn't suit the mainstream media narrative to actually tell people what the is going on and why Gen Z doesn't want to work. Just like every other fucking generation, by the way. I don't know who actively is like, yep, I really want to work hard for somebody else, not for myself, God. Well done to furthering the divide amongst this population Today show, or whatever the you guys call yourselves, but I digress.
Queensland reporter Mia Glover is getting to the bottom of the latest social media trend for us all this morning. Mia, many people are rolling their eyes.
Yes, including myself, Jane. Good morning again to you. This is because Gen Z take offence to the word job.
No, I'm so afraid. I'm so scared. I'm literally shitting myself actively right now over the word job. Oh my God, literally get that away from me. Like, that's how these people paint us to be and act like when we hear the word job. When all we're saying is that working our entire lives shouldn't be a thing when we've had to watch our loved ones kill themselves in the workforce, but it's still never enough. When is there enough to give? But we're supposed to sit here and idolize a workforce that has actively harmed our loved ones, and now it's our turn to call out shit for what it is. Look at me in my half-blind ass face and try to explain to me, even until your face is purple, what is so inspiring about the workforce today. The way this world is set up is that you need money to live. But how are we gonna act like it's okay that every single day the prices of our daily essentials are going up? Our basic human rights are paywalled, and apparently criticizing that means that we're offended and we're woke crybabies and all this, that, and the third. You people who are saying this kind of shit are trying to hide from the real problem. This is what they do, guys. They say shit to divide us all, and it works so many times. Prices go up, but wages don't want to reflect that.
Yes, J-O-B, as in, why don't you go get a job? A lot of people are asking that question to Gen Zers this morning. They're putting up this social media trend to say they're offended by the word because it evokes feelings of negativity, because sometimes they can't get a job or they simply don't want to. I've taken to the streets of the Gold Coast here to see what people think.
I don't know, ever since COVID, I kind of feel like no one wants to work. Everyone wants everything, but they don't want to work for it.
Yet again, a picture is being painted to further divide the younger generation and older generations. It's to keep people angry. It's to keep people easily controlled. It's done so that we continue licking the boots of the ones that kick us down and keep us down every single other day. Are you telling me that you weren't sad that you got rejected by multiple news channels to be a mediocre anchor on a morning show that peddles falsities to rile people up? It isn't exclusive to just Gen Z feeling like crud because they couldn't secure a job. Maybe that Gen Z who is complaining about the fact that they can't find a job and that they are really upset over the fact that they can't find a job has just applied for the 87th job, and it's either ghosted them or, better yet, rejected them based off of literally nothing. Yes, Miss gets, I don't know, 200k a year to do this shit on telly. It depletes one's energy to be told no and no and no again and again and again when you quite literally have to make money in order to survive. And quickly touching on what this lady just said here, the one that's being interviewed, I would love to hear what kind of job she has, as yes, there is this collective, what would you say, doomer mindset that everyone seems to have post-COVID, because it really highlighted the issues that we have as a society. There is mass hysteria on top of mass hysteria every single other day, and it is draining us as people of our energy, of inspiration. I can't sit here and judge and blame people for just wanting to kick their feet up and do fucking nothing, bro, because everything changed after COVID. It really did. And you want to stand there and judge people for, wanting things, but they don't really want to work for it. I mean, I did not know that was a controversial thing to say. Like, yeah, humans deserve better. When was that a controversial opinion? No, you're obviously not entitled to a Gucci belt. But what I think people are entitled to is a living wage, is to be able to afford things. Yeah, maybe then we wouldn't hear Gen Z constantly yap about how they can't find jobs.
Well, I'm 81 and I'm still working on my job. Get real.
Nah, mate, you should get real, because do you not see the inherent issue with the fact that you're 81 still working? When is enough, people? Don't you think the way the system is set up is proven to fail time and time again? If a man nearing the end of his years still cannot enjoy the fruits of his labor because he is held down every day, this man is still having to give up his time and effort, his body, mind, and soul to a system that isn't working anymore. I mean, it just upsets me, despite the fact that he goes get real at the end, the fact that he's gonna have to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning and break his back to pay the bills that should already be taken care of because he's 81. At what point have you given enough? Showing up for work and you're just continuing to build something for someone else. Meanwhile, you can't live out any of your passions and you possibly will never be able to do anything that you want to do in your fucking heart because the greedy, wealthy bastards of this world want to keep us all down. They don't want us to have anything. And it's sad. These older folk actually had a future to work towards, whereas we feel like we don't. It's easy for people in privileged positions to spout the sentiment of, you know, people just don't want to work anymore. They don't want to work hard for anything. But they never actually seem to touch on why that is.
Boomers want to know what it's like being young in 2025. Here it is. I just got off an 8-hour shift at work where I make double minimum wage in my state. I hop in my car, check my banking app. Cool, I've got $50 to last me till next week. Then I remember, I have to run to Walmart because the wire in my bra snapped. I don't have underwear because it keeps going missing. My eyelash curler broke and I have no food. I bought 4 things. 4 fucking things and it came out to $40!
It is unfucking real that people are having to struggle this much. And, you know, one could argue the fact that you don't need a bra. And coming from a person who thinks that she has sad nipple syndrome, because I swear, guys, I have to wear a bra. Otherwise, my mini pepperonis touch fabric. I will have a meltdown, and do not dare try and diagnose me with anything in the comments, okay? I, for the life of me, need a bra! But it's like, we should not be having to sit here justifying our needs, in purchasing our needs, all because this economy is because people in the comments were telling her, oh, you can just go buy a bra from the thrift. Bruh, you should just be able to buy one brand new. That's the problem.
I'm living off granola bars. But I hop my depressed ass back in my car and I look at my banking app again. Oh, cool, I've got $10 now to last me till next week. I try to drive, but my car keeps misfiring. I can't afford to fix that. So I keep on parking, turning off my car, turning it back on until it decides to act right. 30 minutes later, I'm finally heading home to my 4 roommates. I pay $8.50 a month. Now give them that's everything included, but $8.50 a month with 4 roommates. Remember back in the good old days when a man could afford to feed, raise, house his family on minimum wage?
In the United States, back in the 80s, the minimum wage was $3.10 per hour. In Australia, it was 14 cents dearer, which would end the work week off with around $125, $130. However, a loaf of bread a week was 40 cents. Eggs were under $1 and you could still get a gallon of milk for a couple of bucks. This grocery ad from a newspaper back in 1987 from the courtesy of Reddit, the prices of food matched the wages, that's for sure. Unfortunately, in the times that we're currently living in, food prices have risen to an astronomical level, forcing people to either eat barely anything or eat like shit in order to survive. It's not that Gen Z doesn't want a job. Gen Z does want to work. This is just f***ing slander. It's cope to hide the fact that wealth is being hoarded by the elites. They must love seeing us dickheads fighting amongst each other for literal scraps. Meanwhile, they have never had to think a day in their lives where the food is going to come from, where the rent money is going to come from, how the kids' school books and school clothes are going to be paid for, because these people, for the most part, were born into it. A lot of people have this idea that you can just become a billionaire. No, you literally can't. It's generational wealth and exploitation that does that, but whatever. Americans are burning paid time off just to sleep instead of travel. 43% of millennials admit they've used paid vacation days to stay in bed. That is probably because that 43% of millennials do not have the means to go and travel and would just like a couple of days to themselves because the workforce is exhausting, which doesn't even begin to repair your mind, body, and soul to keep on working, to be happy, to have a mentally sound mind. There's quite literally no work-life balance. And universe forbid people try to take back their stolen energy from the workforce that works them to the bone. This also comes as a consequence to people being overworked. It is normal for people these days to have between 2 to 3 jobs in order to provide for themselves and their families. But it's still not enough. But Gen Z complaining about working for 40 years straight and having nothing to show for it is the problem. You're only uncomfortable hearing this shit because you know it's true. To brand an entire generation of human beings that a lot of you produce, by the way, is failing to see how the system set up in place is failing all of us. It doesn't inspire people to work hard anymore because the harder people work, the less time they get on Earth to actually enjoy shit. It almost feels pointless because the harder you work, the more expensive shit gets. The harder you work for somebody else, and boom, there's just a couple of $1 million that has just been added into the assets and the wealth of the top 5%. And it's kind of just like, dude, why do people of previous generations have such a problem with hearing this shit? But let's be drones and rag on about this and not the greedy rich dickheads who put us in this predicament in the very first place. You know what's really funny? I live in a rental. I don't get to speak to a property manager anymore because I got an email the other day that any issues that I have with my rental, even if it's really severe and dangerous and life-threatening, I have to talk to an AI bot. Yeah, that's right, an AI bot virtual assistant that will help me if electrical issues and whatnot. Like, what everyone is failing to understand here is that everything just feels dystopian and strange and like not real life, because I don't remember this happening pre-COVID. These companies go ahead and try and cut as many costs as they can so that they don't have to put it back into the pockets of the people who should be paid to do these jobs. I'm sorry, but I don't want to talk to a fucking AI robot. I want to talk to a human being about my issues. But the greed only continues, and we are all experiencing it. Gen Z is the laziest generation in US history. Y'all say this, but there's absolutely no evidence to back up these claims time and time again. You guys just think you're better than us because you bottle up all of that rage and all of that frustration and those complaints that you should be damn well voicing because they are real concerns. This just isn't working the way that it once did back when yous were kids. And even then, it was gonna fail people sooner or later, and now it's actually happening on a larger scale. And y'all take this shit out on people who did not wrong you. Gen Z aren't the enemy. And you guys keep thinking that we're the enemy because we're voicing our concerns and we're complaining and we're saying some very valid points. But a common theme with these generations is the fact that they're just scared of the unknown. They're scared of change. And we see that time and time again. They want things to constantly stay the same, even if it is consequential to their lives. I'm sorry, but I'm a loud person. I'm not willing to keep shit to myself just to make other people comfortable, especially when these issues quite literally affect us all. There are some issues that affect people more than others. Nobody likes working. Nobody wants to work, but people do work because they know that they have to in order to survive. It is not a bad thing to complain about that. Yes, take pride in what you do every day in life, but for some people, their reality isn't gonna be as chipper. So with all of that being said, everybody, thank you so much for your time today, and I would love to hear about anything that you're experiencing down the comment section below. Not that I love that you're experiencing it, but I think that Yappersville has really fostered a community where we can come together and we can talk about things without fear or rejection, because this drama queen will forever and always be a safe space for any fucking body. Any fucking body, just as long as you're not a bigoted piece of shit. Take care of yourselves, and most of all, love your fucking selves.